And before we get into the recap of the EA Play 2018 conference for E3, don't forget to follow the steps to enter in the giveaway for one of 3 $10 PSN cards, which is to subscribe to PlayStation Source here on YouTube, leave a like on the video, comment on what you would use those $10 for, as well as your Twitter username, and make sure to follow PS Source Vids on Twitter. Now on to the recap. What is going on, guys? It is your boy TKD123 here on PlayStation Source, and we are going to be breaking down EA Play 2018. Now, overall, just as a whole, this conference was very much EA. There was nothing really surprising here, nothing really changed from previous years, you know what I'm saying? So it was definitely much of a EA E3 type of conference that they brought here to E3, and they started out the show with showing Battlefield 5, a pretty safe bet, I would say, a pretty safe first game to show here. It was about the upcoming shooter and how it's the most deepest and most immersive entry in the series yet. They went on to discuss some of the gameplay details, like large weapons that were previously stationary can now be moved around the battlefield, while destructibility has also been greatly improved. Customization also possesses a new cosmetic element, as well as providing a gameplay advantage as well. They also went on to announce finally, which I thought they would announce when they first unveiled Battlefield 5, but Battle Royale was announced for Battlefield 5, as well as the solo campaign, which will be coming back in the form of war stories that we'll be getting more extensive looks at Microsoft's conference tomorrow. And they also reiterated that the game comes out October 19th with no premium, no loot boxes, nothing like that. So Battlefield 5 seems to be very squeaky clean of those traditionally, bad EA type of game practices that leech you of your money, etc., all that horrible stuff that we all hate as gamers. And while they didn't give a solid date as to when we're getting Battle Royale, it seemed like it wasn't going to come out at launch and that it will be coming later on in the year. So I'm assuming maybe a November update or December update will bring Battlefield 5 players that Battle Royale, which I will surely jump on and definitely check out, because Battle Royale is definitely the craze nowadays. Next up here, we went on to FIFA, where they announced that the UEFA Champions League has been confirmed for FIFA 19 after Konami lost the license earlier this year. You'll also be able to chase Champions League glory in the journey and the traditional career mode in the game as well. The release date has been also confirmed for September 28, 2019. For a limited time, FIFA 18 though is getting a free trial spanning all platforms, including the newly implemented World Cup content update as well to the game. So if you are FIFA players, definitely jump on FIFA 18 and get that free trial. If you have not played it and you were interested in the game, you can do that, as well as being able to use that World Cup content as well. Moving on after that, they announced a new service here called Origin Access Premium. It's an improved service that is subscription that will provide PC players with new titles available at launch for a monthly price. Madden NFL 19 is also coming to the PC for the first time in a decade, and it will also premiere on this service alongside big titles that EA has, like Anthem, moving forward. And so to me, this sounded like a direct competition towards Xbox Game Pass. You have a flat fee and you pay it monthly, and you get all the new releases of games as they launch. So it seems like it's definitely going into that skew of things. You will be streaming these games off the Origin Access Premium service, so it won't be downloading like you do with Xbox Game Pass. However, you will be able to stream those games, and you have access to any new games, with the first being Madden NFL 19, and then you also have a backlog of a bunch of other games, around 100 of them, and then any new releases moving forward, like I said, Anthem as one of those being an example, will be free for the service if you have it. And while they did not bring up a pricing for the service, they did say that it is coming sometime later this year, so we'll be able to see how it all pans out shortly. And this next news tidbit is probably my favorite tidbit out of the entire EA conference. Obviously, I spoke a lot about this game during our predictions episode of Cross Circle episode 1, so go check that out if you haven't. And here we got some news about Respawn's Star Wars game. Okay, we got a just straight up conversation with Vincent Pella, obviously the infamous dev behind Montfort 2, and the first iteration of Infinity Ward. But on to Respawn, Vincent Pella here. What I don't like about this whole thing was that, it was just him in the crowd, and they came over and they talked to him about the game, right? So I understand that it is still not ready to be shown yet. I get that, but man, like, show us something, show us some concept art, show us anything. But we really didn't get any visuals of the game at all, but we did get a few interesting details here about the game. So first off, it is called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and it will take place between episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and episode 4, A New Hope, where the remaining Jedi are being being hunted by the Empire following the Order 66 initiative. And he talked a lot about how the game is going to be set during this time of a lot of darkness and a lot of somberness throughout the Jedi. So definitely do understand the placement of this story, and I'm actually excited about where this is taking place in. It's a very, very cool time in Star Wars. And the current release window is going to be for holiday 2019, so this will launch alongside the release of episode 9 for Star Wars. So definitely do see that correlation there. So overall, well, this is probably my favorite takeaway of EA Play this year. I really wish they would have shown something, some sort of concept art, something like that, but oh well, I cannot have my cake and eat it too. Let's just move on. And they moved on to Battlefront 2, and they gave a couple updates to the game and everything, and they just pimped out that they are going to have their solo content coming out in a few days here, and of course it will be free like they said for all Battlefront 2 content and everything. And then they went on to discuss the new era coming to Battlefront 2, and that is the Clone Wars. We will get new heroes and villains such as General Grievous, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and Count Dooku, as well as a new map here called Genesis that will be added to the game as well. It will include the largest level ever in Battlefront history, so that is pretty cool as well. EA and DICE then acknowledged that the game had a rough start, but they believe in its bright future ahead of it, so that is just pretty nice to hear as well, that they aren't just going to abandon Battlefront 2 as is, and they're going to continue to support it even though it has had its troubles and rough spot and controversy overall as a whole. Next up here, we brought out the EA Originals games. There's mainly two of them here, and they first showed off Yarny 2, the successor to Yarny a few years ago. It was a great, very endearing game overall. It looked really fun, and now we have a second character in Yarny. It will be a co-op experience to the game that you can play, or you can play it solo if you'd like to, and they dropped the bombshell that it's available right now, so you can go right now on your console and download Yarny 2 and be able to play it in its full entirety on spot. The next game they showed off here was Sea of Solitude. It's coming out early 2019. It has a very, very cool looking aesthetic to the game overall, and while the style is a very, very bright, colorful way, the journey that you are going on is based on themes of loneliness. The game is about a young woman named Kay who is dealing with terrible feelings of loneliness, so much so she's transformed into a monster. The game follows her as she tries to transform back into a human. So definitely very much so a EA Originals type of game, very unique in its own right, and looks pretty cool. Honestly, it looks like a really, really cool game that I might give a shot if I have the chance to. Following that, we got some traditional really cool trailers of NBA Live 19 that's coming out September 7th of this year. If you're interested in that game, I'm not into sports games, so really cool trailer, definitely not my style of game. After that, we got the announcement of Madden 19 as well, with Juju Smith coming out to talk a little bit more about the game and everything, and it was the expected lull of the show. Usually definitely the sports games kind of just get their regular updates that they usually get, and that's just about it. And so that one got a really cool trailer as well for Madden 19, and the game is coming out August 10th. So if you're interested in Madden and NBA Live 19, you'll be able to get those on September 7th for NBA and August 10th for Madden 19. And then probably the most EA thing EA has ever done in a conference here was do this Command and Conquer showing here on the EA Play stage. It's an RTS mobile game, and what they did, what was so bad about this whole showing, was that they did this entire tournament type of thing. It was a live gameplay demo, and it went on for 10-12 minutes maybe. It was just extremely long. It was very, very boring, and obviously something that definitely killed the overall conference as a whole. But the trailer that they showed at the end was pretty cool, honestly, I'd say. So the trailer was looking pretty cool. Obviously it was a nice CG trailer for I don't know how mobile games always get these budgets to be able to produce these massive, really cool looking 3D rendered type of trailers and stuff. So that was a pretty cool trailer they showed, but overall the game was a pretty boring showing, and also probably the most boring part of EA's conference overall. And then lastly here, the meat and potatoes of the entire EA Play conference was the showing of Anthem, and they talked a lot about the game. They say it's designed to have the ability to add story later on in the future, so obviously that just means that they're going to support DLC moving forward. They showed a lot of artwork with the game as well, which them showing a pretty substantial amount of artwork in the game, concept art-esque type of things. It definitely had me worried, especially for when they are projecting this game is going to be out. But I will say that they showed a little bit too much artwork for me, in my opinion, for a game that's supposed to be releasing in a few months time. But it's not like they didn't show gameplay. They did show some gameplay and everything, so that's a very, very good sign. But overall, I just felt like they showed a little bit too much artwork for me, in my opinion, for a game that's coming out, you know, in a few weeks, like I said before. So you're gonna have 4 different types of javelins, which are the suits. You're gonna have a ranger, a colossus, interceptor, and a storm, and they all have their own different play styles for you to be able to adapt and change your javelin depending on what you were about to do within the game. So I think it's done, I'm not sure if it's on the fly or if it's done like in the menu before you go into the world or something like that, but you will be able to change which javelin you are using at that current time. They also talked about cosmetics in the game, and they will be direct purchase cosmetics, not loot box cosmetics where you'll have to buy a bunch of loot boxes and hope you get something that you've been looking for. You will be able to directly purchase your cosmetics for your javelin. And just like last year, when we looked at the gameplay overall, it looks really fun to me personally. There were a lot of cool elements to the actual guns when you were firing them, and the way they landed onto different enemies. It looked like it had pretty cool effects, and it just looks really fun to play, honestly, with the, you know, different damage points popping on the screen and enemies as well as you shoot them. Like overall, it just looks super cool, obviously. And they showed off you going from a air flying type of mode to the underwater mode and everything, and you were going through different environments throughout the water and going back up into the air. Overall, just traversing is going to be really cool in this game, and it looks pretty cool. It looks very good. It looks very fun. Something that I would definitely be into, definitely want to play and yearn to play. But here is where I have my issue with this game. Okay, it says they're coming out February 22nd, 2019, and really, you know, it's not honestly an issue. It's really not an issue at this point, honestly, because obviously we are so used to games saying that, hey, we're gonna drop on this day, and then we eventually are gonna push it, and it eventually does get pushed. Obviously, they don't say it at that current point, but eventually it happens. But I just feel like with the amount of artwork shown and not so much gameplay shown as well, even though there was gameplay, it just wasn't that much, I feel, for a game that's coming out in 6 to 8 months. I just feel like they shouldn't be showing that much artwork for a game here that's coming out in February 2019. And that's why I feel they are definitely going to miss this date, and that they're going to get that game delayed probably to like a April, March, or May type of month. I just don't see February personally. And also something that's more close to the PlayStation side of things, it is launching the same day as Days Gone. So if I was Sony Bend here, we're looking at a BioWare new IP launching on the same day as also another new IP, but it's from Sony Bend, which is a great studio, but it's a studio that doesn't have the same resonance as BioWare, you know what I'm saying? So I would definitely be a little bit scared if I was Sony Bend, and maybe contemplate moving a date, you know, maybe somewhere in March would be a nice way to hide, something like that. But I would definitely be a little bit concerned if I was Days Gone. So overall, how did EA do this year at E3? I felt that they did pretty okay, honestly. It wasn't the greatest showing in the world. It wasn't the most trash they've shown in the world, because they've shown a lot worse conferences overall. So I feel that, you know, Anthem had a great showing, very nice showing as well. Yarny 2 was cool to see. Sea of Solitude as well was interesting. The Conquer Rivals Madden NBA section was horrible to me. It was very much a dip in the conference of momentum. Definitely was not good for them. Battlefront 2 Clone Wars stuff was really cool to see as well, seeing Obi-Wan being added to the game and Count Dooku. We're getting a new map called Genesis overall, so definitely cool stuff there. And then we also got some really cool news with Respawn Star Wars game. That's obviously probably my biggest takeaway here from this conference. Definitely like to hear about that game a little bit more. Sad they didn't show it, but hey, at least we got some new details about it as well. Origin Access Premium is gonna be pretty cool for PC players. I think that will be a nice competition with Xbox Game Pass, and might set a precedent overall moving forward about these, you know, companies launching these services that will let users kind of just use and play their games for a subscription model price and everything. So that's pretty cool. Battlefield, I'm really surprised they didn't announce their BR game, you know, beforehand here, but I'm glad they did right now for E3. That made it for a cool announcement overall for the E3 conference as well. So overall, you know what I'm saying, they did pretty okay, pretty cool stuff here. They showed pretty cool announcements, but it didn't, you know, really, you know, light me on fire or really make me super excited overall. And this has been day 1 of our E3 coverage here on PlayStation Source. If you enjoyed the work we're doing on the channel, make sure to leave a like on the video, as well as subscribe to the channel as well for all of our recaps of E3 2018. As well as make sure to enter in that giveaway for one of 3 $10 PSN cards. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, as well as comment below onto the video, and, you know, let me know what you're going to use your $10 PSN card for if you win it, as well as your Twitter username in the comment as well. And make sure to follow PS Source vids with the exact same Twitter. Let me know all your thoughts here on EA Play 2018. Thank you all for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.